Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back. Make sure you join us in the Freedom Zone today, whether you join us by hitting the join button on YouTube or go down in the description box and click the more button and join us in Patreon. Same price, same perks, and you get inside and we're going to have a great conversation. Let me tell you, a lot of what we're talking about in the Freedom Zone correlates and ties back into this new digital asset, digital on-chain economy. Make no mistake about it. In fact, today we're going to talk about three-letter agency in crypto, Ripple's squeeze play in the first 100 days. You're going to love it. Join us in the Freedom Zone. Costs next to nothing to join. And real quick, you'll thank me later. Have you opened your account, your free account? Digital Asset Investor and myself have come together, partner with Caleb and Brown. All you need to remember if you're driving or working right now, XRPwealth589.com. XRPwealth589.com. I know you can remember it. It's easy to remember. But the important thing to remember is why would you do it? And why you would do it is because you're going to get institutional grade custody at a retail level. It's amazing. You're going to get tech support, human service, human customer service. You're going to get a prime broker who is human customer service. I tell you, you haven't experienced any kind of customer service until you've dealt with a human being and talked about your account. The security layers that they put in place are absolutely remarkable at Caleb and Brown. I've been getting the best night's sleep ever since I opened my account because I can talk to a human. And you know what? The other day I was moving assets. I was a little sketchy about it because I was like, I haven't done it that many times on here. Let me get the rep. Set up an appointment with the rep. We did it while I was on the phone. I've never been able to do that the entire time. 7-8 years I've been in this space. So check them out. Very quickly, they will be at XRP Las Vegas, which is 28 days away. Get your ticket. It's going to be insane, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. Galaxy, that's right, Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital is looking to list on NASDAQ on May 16th, pending shareholder approval on May 9th. So we'll see what comes of that, and we'll follow it as it happens, should it happen. Now, this is something I just wanted to bring up and highlight because this is going on internally inside the Bitcoin camp. This is Jason Hughes here, who's really bringing a call to action to say that Bitcoin is on a death spiral if they do this. And he's basically talking about a rule here: remove arbitrary limits on OP return. He says this: Bitcoin core developers are about to merge a change that turns Bitcoin into a worthless altcoin, and no one seems to care to do anything about it. And then he voices his opinion in there. I asked Grok to simplify this for me because I didn't want to get down into all the nuts and bolts. And basically it says that Jason Hughes, a Bitcoin expert, is worried because developers want to change Bitcoin's rules, which he thinks will ruin it by making it less like money and more like a storage for random data. He says the change involves removing limits on Bitcoin feature called OP return, which lets people add extra info to transactions. But Hughes says this will flood Bitcoin with non-money stuff and make it hard to use. So that's why he's upset. And you know what? I don't know if that changes how the network processes transactions, but if it's bogging the network down, it only does 7 to 10 transactions per minute anyway. My goodness. Charles Hoskinson says this in response to Jason Hughes' comments and concerns: everything is proceeding exactly as I have foreseen, he says. Wow. I know we've also heard Charles Hoskinson say that he could revive Bitcoin with ADA's network and other things they're building. So we'll see what comes of that. Here's your breaking news. Oh, did you think we weren't going to talk about this? Just in yesterday afternoon, Ripple rocked the digital asset space and offered to acquire Circle USDC stablecoin issuer. And this is a remarkable story. Remember when the president of Ripple told us this?
And you mentioned Hidden Road earlier, the acquisition. Yeah. I think you spent 1.25 billion on that.
Yes.
Is that an indication that Ripple's going to be more acquisitive going forward now?
Yes.
You know, they are very good at keeping a lid on things at Ripple. I can tell you that. Shout out to Monica Long, who's the president of Ripple, which is interesting. We'll get into it. You know, banks have presidents, right? Yeah. I remember talking about that when she first got the title. Ripple offered to acquire Circle. It's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. Lock in. Merger acquisition time. Let's get into this a minute because there are some things I haven't heard anybody talking about what this all really could mean and how it could look like. The implications of this are quite staggering. They really are. And what could be a major shakeup in the industry, Ripple reported offered by Circle and basically around $5 billion. The offer was rejected for being too low, according to sources. Moreover, the issuer is still considering another offer to acquire the stablecoin firm. This is exciting. Now, we know the rest of it, but let's keep moving because we have a lot to go over here. Let's go underneath the hood of Circle. Because Ripple may still acquire Circle, the story may not be completely written here. Now, taking a look at this, first of all, Schwartz says in a post, Michael Arrington posted the news and said the offer was rejected. David Schwartz come in and says $6 billion, but that's our final offer. Maybe that's legit. I don't know. Maybe he's being tongue-in-cheek. Who knows with David sometimes, and that's okay too. But you know what? Let's get into what's going on with Circle very quickly because I have some thoughts as well as Dom from Easy A, who will be at XRP Las Vegas. We're giving away $25,000 in prizes to builders and developers. Come on in. Who else is doing that? I worked at Goldman Sachs and Blackstone. He graduated from Wharton, where President Trump went, analyzed hundreds of IPOs. The Circle IPO is hands down one of the most important events in crypto history. Check all of this out. It's very quick, but you'll love it. He said, here's what you need to know for their S1. He said, how does Circle make money? You're probably wondering how a company makes money from a stable coin after all. Isn't a stable coin always $1? Yes, but whenever you buy one USDC from Circle, they invest your fiat into treasuries, which pay them interest. Turns out it's a pretty lucrative strategy. In 24, Circle generated $1.68 billion in revenue from interest alone. Why is this important? Well, it makes Circle's business model highly sensitive to interest rates, Fed set interest rates. In their S1, Circle estimates that a mere 1% decrease in rates could result in a $441 million decrease in its income. And since 99% of Circle's revenue comes from reserves interest income, just a small decrease in rates will have an outsized effect on Circle's financial performance. If you're considering investing in Circle, you'll want to pay close attention to rates. Circle's metrics are weaker than industry comps. But how much weaker? Check this out. Dom is a super smart guy. He says, but how much weaker? Well, let's look at one of the only other publicly traded companies out here, Coinbase. Coinbase generated $6.3 billion in total revenue and $2 billion in net income in 24. Negative 41% net profit margin. By comparison, Circle generated $1.7 billion in revenue and $155 million in net income, a negative 9% profit margin, right? Then you have over the same period, or 41%, I don't know if it means negative 41% or 9, but we'll just go with what he's saying here. Because he's showing you the margin difference because of if they cut rates. That's where we're going here. That's nearly 5 times less. And if the Federal Reserve lowers rates later this year, as expected, Circle's metrics will only weaken further. Turns out half of Circle's reserves income goes to Coinbase. In 2024, Circle paid Coinbase a whopping $908 million, and as Circle grows in popularity, Coinbase only stands to benefit further. So if you're considering investing in Circle, you'll probably also want to consider Coinbase. Circle has strong competition. While Circle is first stablecoin issuer to go public, it's definitely not the largest. We know the largest spot belongs to Tether, which issues wildly popular USDT, and Ripple, and other industry behemoth, has recently launched its own stablecoin, RLUSD. Shares started trading a few weeks ago because this post was back in the beginning of April. That's how on top of this Dom was. So you can see the ticker for Circle should be CRCL. But what's interesting is so many things about this. So it's a little weaker under the hood, especially if the Fed cuts rates. But let's also understand this too. Circle just minted another $250 million on Solana's network. Circle's market cap right now, USDC, is 61.9 billion plus. Let's take a look at this. Tether operates on 10 blockchain networks. I'm not going to read them all. Circle operates on 19 blockchain networks. You see where I'm going here? If Ripple acquires Circle, they will be on more networks in one acquisition than Tether is. I'm pretty sure that they would convert Circle to RLUSD, white label it, flip it, however you want to call it. That's how I see it. Maybe they don't, but I would think that they would. And instantly, RLUSD would be on 19 blockchains, including Stellar. Including Hedera, Algorand, Solana, Sui. It all would be RLUSD. How about that, huh? Isn't that something? Stay with me now. I'm not done with you yet. Instantly, RLUSD would become the stable coin of choice, dominating the digital space. You would be instantly putting 60 plus billion in value from Circle and USDC now becomes RLUSD. Let's talk about this. Now think of the privilege XRP would get. Now having the, remember, XRP gets a privileged position of being considered for every possible trade. If it's not the best fit, it goes to the best fit. But the fact that it would have the privileged position of every transaction working with RLUSD across all 19 blockchains, and then include XRP Ledger as well, meaning 20 now, right? That would be incredible. And in one fell swoop, it would be placing the RLUSD at the front of the pack, and in no time would surpass Tether. It is a power move of all power moves. Now let's also talk about Circle's IPO, because I don't want to broad brush that either. You know, a lot of people think, you know, IPOs are, it's an exit, right? You know, listen, there's a reason for it. People just don't IPO, right? You usually IPO because you need to raise money, need to raise capital. And what would you need to raise capital for? Well, let's go back specifically and talk about Circle itself, right? So Circle itself doesn't have a payments platform. And they just announced right around the IPO announcement that they're going to make a payments platform because they don't have one. So that to me tells me that that's what the IPO is for. It's to pay for them to get their own payment network. But it's really like a day late and $1 short, pun intended. Why would you do it now? And then you say to yourself, well, they said Ripple's offer was low. Is it? Look at the numbers that Dom shared. If the Fed were to come out and cut rates, their model really gets very thin. The margins are very thin. But because Ripple has a network and a bridge asset, the combination of an acquisition like Circle tying into 19 blockchains would just inject capital and liquidity and bring interoperability, creating the internet of value. Because you would be tying all these networks together with a relatively high regulated, transparent stablecoin. This is, I mean, to me, this is like unbelievable. I mean, and they say the deal is not done. Like, I mean, they could go back and make a larger offer. So this gets extremely interesting to me when I look at all of this data. And then you have to ask yourself, as we have been asking for years on this channel. Will Ripple become a bank? And now John Deaton is even asking the question. That is the question now. And I don't mean just any old bank. I mean a central bank. I have long said that the escrow for XRP and the lockup is nothing more than watching good monetary policy be exercised on the digital asset XRP. Introduction of RLUSD just makes it even more simpatico to Ripple becoming a bank over time, to me. And maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it goes a different way. Maybe they take a faction of Ripple and create a separate entity and have that go become a bank. Look, we can't know everything. But I tell you what we do know and what I know from what I'm seeing here is absolutely all-inspiring, because we are moving through a merger acquisition maturation period in this space. And keep your eye on Ripple, because a move like this could put them at the front of the pack, even in front of Tether, because we'd be on more blockchains than Tether, and in no time flat, XRP would get the privilege of over 20 blockchains for settlement for XRP. That's a remarkable, it's remarkable. And if it happens, it's going to be unbelievable, the level of liquidity and transaction flow that will begin to move daily and involve RLUSD and the ledger. And remember, all of this kind of makes sense as an inroads, because what is built into the XRP ledger? Oh, that's right, a decentralized exchange for which all of those 19 other blockchains can plug into and make a market through the decentralized exchange known as the XRP ledger. I like where this is going. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I hope you'll join us in the Freedom Zone. It's next to nothing. We appreciate each and every one of you, the way you support the channel. It means a lot to us. And I tell you, you're going to like what we've got for you today. So come on in.